Donald Trump's effort to delay or avoid posting a massive bond in the New York civil fraud case has now hit what legal experts are calling a hard wall. According to multiple reports and individuals familiar with the proceedings, Judge Arthur Engoron made it unmistakably clear during a closed-door emergency hearing on Thursday, January 23rd, that there are no remaining procedural paths to avoid posting the full $464 million bond. Sources inside the courtroom say the judge emphasized the finality of his ruling repeatedly, using the word final more than once when rejecting the defense's latest request for delay or modification. This was not described as a routine denial. Attorneys present said the judge's language left no ambiguity and no room for reinterpretation. This moment marks more than a procedural setback. Legal analysts describe it as the point where every remaining delay tactic was exhausted and judicial patience definitively ran out. When a trial judge states on the record that no further extensions will be granted, that message is meant to end the conversation entirely. So what exactly triggered this unusually firm response? According to reporting from CNN, NBC News, and court filings, Trump's legal team had submitted what amounted to their seventh motion in roughly 3 weeks, asking the court to either reduce the bond, delay the deadline, or accept alternative collateral. The request cited difficulties securing a bonding company willing to underwrite the full amount without liquid assets. The judge's response, according to attorneys present, was blunt. He noted that the appellate court had already addressed the bond issue, that Trump had been given repeated opportunities to arrange financing, and that continued filing seeking delay could be interpreted as obstruction rather than good faith litigation. This is not how civil cases typically unfold. Legal scholars say judges rarely impose uncompromising deadlines unless they believe the process itself is being manipulated. Phrases reportedly used during the hearing, including references to the court's exhausted patience, signal that the normal flexibility of civil litigation had ended. To understand why this moment matters, it's important to look at how tensions built over time. The underlying judgment, issued in February 2024, found Trump liable for years of fraudulent financial statements that overstated asset values to obtain favorable loan terms. The court ordered damages totaling approximately $464 million. While Trump appealed the ruling, New York law requires defendants to post a bond to pause enforcement during the appeal process. On January 18th, Trump's attorneys filed another emergency motion, arguing that no bonding company would accept real estate as collateral for a bond of that size. During the January 23rd hearing, Judge Engoron reportedly challenged that argument directly by pointing to Trump's own public statements. According to multiple outlets, the judge referenced Trump's recent campaign remarks in which he claimed to possess hundreds of millions of dollars in cash. The court reportedly framed the issue in stark terms. Either those public claims were exaggerated, or the court filings asserting inability to post bond were inaccurate. Sources say the judge reviewed financial disclosures line by line, comparing sworn statements with public remarks. Attorneys in the room described a methodical analysis lasting several minutes, during which the judge openly questioned the credibility gap between the two narratives. Legal experts note that demands for full bonding without reduction in civil fraud cases are uncommon. When they occur, it is typically because a court believes there is a substantial risk the judgment will not be honored voluntarily. According to individuals familiar with the hearing, a closed-door conference followed in the judge's chambers. Trump's legal team presented letters from multiple bonding companies stating they would not accept real estate as collateral. Judge Engoron reportedly listened without interruption. Then came the response. According to two attorneys present, the judge stated that the defense's position was internally contradictory. He reportedly told counsel that political statements about wealth cannot coexist with sworn claims of financial inability. When defense attorneys attempted to respond, the judge cut them off, stating that the court had already given ample time for alternative solutions. Requests for a recess to consult with Trump were denied. What followed was described as highly unusual in New York civil litigation. Judge Engoron reportedly laid out a precise deadline. Trump must post the full bond or provide proof of an irrevocable bonding agreement by 5 p.m. on Monday, January 27th. Failure to do so would authorize the New York Attorney General's office to immediately begin enforcement proceedings. That includes asset seizures, property liens, and potential account restraints. The judge reportedly stated there would be no additional extensions, no reconsideration motions, and no emergency filings that would pause enforcement. Legal observers say this language was deliberate. When courts impose deadlines with explicit consequences, it signals that the discretionary phase of litigation is over. Claims that the case represents partisan targeting lose force, experts argue, when viewed against the procedural record. Trump's team filed repeated motions. The court reviewed disclosures, public statements, bonding letters, and appellate rulings. The issue was not ideology, but credibility. History offers parallels. In the Bernie Madoff case, courts rejected property-backed bond proposals after determining that the defendant's credibility was compromised. In the Enron prosecutions, judges refused stock-based collateral tied to the alleged fraud itself. Courts are inherently skeptical of collateral derived from disputed asset valuations. Trump has faced similar scrutiny before. In the E. Jean Carroll defamation case, his attorneys initially claimed difficulty posting a bond. Once a firm deadline was imposed, the bond was secured within days. That pattern, claiming impossibility, followed by sudden compliance, appears to have influenced the court's current posture. This time, however, the numbers are vastly larger. According to legal analysts, the core issue driving the judge's response is a credibility breakdown. Trump's filings claim insufficient liquidity. His public statements claim extraordinary cash reserves. These positions cannot both be true. Reporting indicates that the New York Attorney General submitted video evidence of Trump publicly claiming nearly $500 million in cash just weeks before the emergency motion was filed. That contradiction, analysts say, transformed a routine bond dispute into a credibility crisis. The implications extend far beyond this case. Courts operate on the assumption that sworn filings are truthful. When defendants present different financial realities depending on the audience, judges respond by eliminating discretion and imposing enforcement. Trump now faces a dilemma with no clean resolution. Acknowledging financial limits undermines a core political narrative. Maintaining claims of vast wealth strengthens the case for enforcement. Trump's response on Truth Social added fuel to the issue. He claimed to have ample cash but refused to reward a rigged system. Legal experts note that courts distinguish sharply between inability to comply and refusal to comply. Publicly asserting the latter strengthens enforcement authority. Former federal prosecutors have said such statements can be interpreted as admissions of non-compliance. If the bond is not posted, the Attorney General is expected to move swiftly. Properties such as 40 Wall Street and Trump National Golf Club Westchester have been cited in reporting as potential enforcement targets. Asset freezes would dominate campaign coverage and raise unprecedented political questions. Polling already shows that many voters believe Trump's net worth exceeds $5 billion. Failure to post a $464 million bond would directly challenge that perception. This case may also shape how courts handle future Trump litigation, including potential bond issues in other jurisdictions. Judges often look to prior enforcement disputes when assessing credibility. At its core, this moment is about equal application of the law. Bond requirements exist to ensure judgments are meaningful, regardless of a defendant's status. If wealth allows endless delay without consequence, confidence in the civil justice system erodes. Judge Engoron's ruling sends a different message. court orders are not negotiable suggestions. As of now, enforcement preparations are reportedly underway. Legal teams are ready to file actions immediately after the deadline if compliance does not occur. Trump's advisors remain divided between selling assets or forcing a confrontation. The deadline is fixed, the consequences are explicit, and the credibility gap is now central to the case. What happens at 5 p.m. on Monday may determine not just the outcome of this dispute, but whether judicial authority can be enforced against the most powerful defendants in the country. The record is clear, the court has spoken, and now the system waits to see whether compliance follows.